Hi, this is Katie Badeau from the University of Houston O'Quinn Law Library. I know this is a strange, confusing time, and probably a lot of your plans for the summer may be up in the air at this point. But this presentation will show you how to prepare your research for the summer so you'll be able to be an active and influential member of whatever organization you're a part of. So let's get started. Let's start by talking about our subscription research services like Westlaw, Lexis, and Bloomberg. For Westlaw, in order to have full summer access to Westlaw, continuing students will need to extend your passwords. Look for the registration banner once you log into Westlaw. There's a link right here, and it should take you to the sign-on for Westlaw. And once you're there, there will be a banner coming up for how you can extend your password for the summer. Summer password extension is only available if a student has a permissible academic use for the password, such as school-related work or for school credit, law review and journal, including write-on competitions, moot court, summer research assistant positions, and unpaid internships and externships. Students who do not register for summer access will get 60 hours of access per month in June and July, and full access in August. If you are working for a private firm and they give you your own Westlaw password, it is important that you use that for the firm's record-keeping purposes and not your student password. For Lexis and Bloomberg, for Lexis Advanced, no registration for summer access is required if you already, as I hope you do, have a Lexis Advanced ID. And for continuing students, they will have free and unlimited Lexis access this summer. Registration is not required, and there are no restrictions on the use of your law school IDs. Finally, for Bloomberg, all registered students will have unlimited Bloomberg access during the summer. So a big part of the summer work you may be doing may be accessing court information and dockets. This is something we don't do a lot of in our 1L research, so I want to take some time to explain how you access dockets and case filing. So to start, you want to go to Texas Courts Online at www.texascourts.gov. Or you can go directly to the search at search.texascourts.gov. And there you will find dockets and case filing. In order to find information about the case, you need the docket number, which is a lawsuit's unique identifying number in the trial court phase, or as much information as you can get, such as party name and other information. A docket is simply a record of the proceedings of court cases. Some jurisdictions have free online docket systems, while others require a subscription to a database or even require you to visit the court in person. Docket research is generally used to find information about a particular case. Dockets contain information about the judge hearing the case, the parties involved, the attorneys involved, the events of the case, and more. Dockets are generally more useful for researching cases still in the trial courts, not cases that have gone to the appellate level. Because trials last many years and involve many events, the dockets are important for locating information about cases. Examples of documents that can be identified and sometimes located by retrieving a trial court docket include motions, testimony transcripts, jury instructions and worksheets, judge rulings, expert witness names, and more. Federal district court dockets, in other words, the trial courts in the federal court system, are highly accessible, but there's great variation among the states and counties as to their online availability. Now let's take a look at the way a real-life docket search would look for a Texas case. Right here you can see I'm at search.txcourts.gov, and that brings up the Supreme Court search page. You'll notice here that I have the option to choose between the Supreme Court, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, or the other Court of Appeals in Texas. So I'm going to switch this to all courts, and I'm going to use this page when I'm looking for a case that is in the appellate court or the Texas Supreme Court or the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, not when it's at the trial court level. So I have a case here I'm looking for. It's the University of Texas Medical Branch of Galveston versus Jackson. It's a medical malpractice case. So I switch this to all courts. I'm going to see what my case looks like at the appellate level. And in the partial case number, I'm going to put in what I have from the Court of Appeals and that is 14-18-00887. That's the docket number at the appellate court level. So I'll go down here and click search. And I can see my case comes up, the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston v. Jackson. And here I have the appellate briefs that I can download and all the events of the case at the appellate court level. Now you can see what this doesn't give me is what happened at the trial court level. And I'll show you how to find that next. But first, let's just go ahead and look at the judgment here and see how I can download it when I click on Document. And here I have the actual opinion as it was delivered from the 14th Court of Appeals. And I can see the opinion by clicking here. And this is the actual opinion. It's not in the fancy layout that you have on Westlaw, but this is the actual opinion of the court. Now let's see how I'd find a trial court document. You'll notice here that this is on appeal from the 122nd District Court in Galveston County, Texas, and it gives me the trial court case number of 17 CV 1226. So let's take a look at how I can access that. So to find the docket as it existed at the trial court level, I need to find the Galveston County District Clerk, because that is where Galveston County District Court is what I'm going to search for. Give me some information here. And I'm going to go straight to the district clerk's office. The district clerk's office is where all the trial court documents get filed. So I'm going to go straight there. Announcements here. See, what do I want to find? I want to go to the civil division, since it's a civil case, and search the Galveston County Civil Court records. I'm going to proceed to access files here. And I'm going to do the smart search. For every county, this will look a little bit different, but you should be able to figure it out. For the record number, I'm going to type in 17 CV 1226. That's the information we got about the trial court. And see if I can get this captcha code right. And let's see what we get. So here we go. We have the exact same case I was looking at, but at the trial court level. And here I can find everything that happened at the trial court for this particular case. So I have request for service, issuing citation, original answer, on and on and on. And so if I want to see, for example, the motion to dismiss that was filed on March 29th of 18, I would just click on View Document, and it would take me straight to the actual e-file document. So I want you to see here that it's important to go directly to the county of the court where the trial court is taking place for trial court documents. You'll use the search, the txcourts.gov/search if, search.txcourts.gov if you're looking for what happened at the appellate level, but go to the actual county itself for the docket at the trial court level. Now, if, for example, I'm looking in Harris County for a trial court docket, I would go to the Harris County District Clerk's page, and there under Quick Links you will see Search Records and Documents, and I will click on that, and I will perform the same kind of search that I did for the Galveston court. This is an example of what a federal court docket looks like, and I just want to take you on a tour of the different parts. First, we have the court information, the case status, the docket number here. Oftentimes there'll be some letters in here like CV that stands for civil case. Of the judge, any cases that are related to our current case, the date filed, the case type, and then such information as parties, attorney and contact information, etc. Then in this numbered list, we're going to get to the actual documents filed. And you can see here we have the complaint, the first thing filed, and you would access it here by clicking on the 1. So that's how it would look at the U.S. District Court level. A word about PACER and Bloomberg Law. PACER, which someone might say, hey, will you look up this court on PACER? PACER stands for Public Access to Court Electronic Records. This is the official case location system for the federal government. Most of the material that is available on PACER is available in the docket databases on Bloomberg and Westlaw. I am going to recommend, however, that you use Bloomberg Law for this because it acts as a direct pass-through to PACER without charging you. So really there's no reason to use PACER, which charges you something like 30 cents per page, possibly unconstitutionally, that is going through the courts right now, when you could do it for free during using Bloomberg. Pacer has a few more of the underlying documents and is only the only source type for certain types of cases. But Bloomberg and Westlaw have all the document information available in Pacer except for a few classes of cases and most of the underlying documents. In addition, Bloomberg Law includes access to many state court dockets and some UK dockets. So Bloomberg Law really should be your first docket research stop. So now let's actually go into Bloomberg Law to search for a docket. I'm going to search for a case from the Harris County District Court. So I could go through the county website, or I can try using Bloomberg Law for dockets. So let's try that out. Okay, here I am in Bloomberg Law. I'm going to select Docket Search. And the first thing I'm going to do here is select courts. I'm going to browse the whole list. I want state court dockets. And go down to Texas. I want district court cases because we're looking for the Harris County District Court. And I will select Harris County. Then I can enter the docket number right here. And the docket number I know for my case is 2018 03816-7. So that should find Harris County Court documents with that number. Okay, and this is the case I was looking for, Heritage Park Point Homeowners Association v. Daniel. So I can click into the docket right here. And the most important thing you can do here is make sure that the date of the docket is current. So right now, this is the docket as it was on January 20th, 2018. So first thing I need to do is update the docket. It's going to tell you, okay, there is no fee, that's okay. It's not going to charge you no matter what anyway. If it costs money, it's not going to let you do it. So I'm going to wait for the docket to update. And then I'll get an email saying that my docket was updated. So here we go. We have docket changes complete. And I want to view the whole docket. So I'm going to click on the case name here in my email. And it will load up for me. Slowly. Very slowly. Any day now. Okay, now we see that I'm current as to right now, which is April 5th, 2020 at 5:04 Eastern Time. And then I can see the full docket as it exists and request each of the docket pages. So for example, I have exhibits here, cover page, judgment, etc., all right here. So that's the way I could access a docket on Bloomberg Law. So now that we've talked about dockets, let's talk about more of a beginning question as to where do you start your research. So you're going to start your research based on what you know, and you will always know at least something. So for example, if you know the code section, then you want that the matter refers to, then you're going to look at, for federal, the public law, the editor's and reviser's notes, so that'd be any changes to the code sections, committee reports, secondary sources, and cases, including your notes of decision and citing references. Remember that notes of decisions are handpicked by editors as cases that are discussing the relevant statute as it applies to this issue. So always use your notes of decision when you're looking at a statutory problem. If you know the name of the act, say you know, oh, I know this has to do with FMLA, you can look at the popular names table or the Office of Law Revision Council, and that's a free source for the U.S. Code and the popular names table. If you know the case name, use the one good case method. Use the headnotes, citing references, and cases cited therein to find the other cases on the topic. If you know the regulation that the case deals with, look at the citing references, the cases, the source of the regulation, and the statutory authority like the Enabling Act. If you know the agency that your issue deals with, Look at the enacted and pending regulations, the structure of the agency, the statute of authority, reports, and regulatory history materials. And if you just know the subject, topic, or area, look at secondary sources, the legal research practice areas on Westlaw, Lexis, and Bloomberg, and research guides. One of my all-time favorite research tips is if you're looking at a brand new area of law, so go ahead and Google that type of area of law and research guide, and you will find a fabulous research guide that a law librarian has created directing you to all the information you need for that area of law. I'll show you one as an example. So say, for example, I have a securities law issue, and I'm not even sure I know what securities law is, let alone on where to research. So I'm going to type for securities law research guide. And I'm going to get some ads. And here we go. I already have some good ones right up here. Georgetown has excellent research guides. So here is the Securities Law Research Guide. It's going to give me the key resources, where to find current developments and periodicals, statutes and legislative history, case law, etc. All the major resources I need, including the best secondary sources, which is so important for researching a new area of law. So remember, any area of law you have, research guide, Google that. Another thing I could do is using a source like Bloomberg Law, go into the BNA portfolios, and these are going to be big topic collections on areas of law, and go into securities practice portfolio series. And I can search through this and use all the tools within this portfolio to find all the information I need about securities law. So that's another option. Or, for example, using Westlaw. I could start to find information by practice area. So I could go to practice areas, and then I could find securities enforcement and litigation, and find all the necessary resources there. So those are a couple ways to get started with a new area of law. It's also important to know about what internal resources are available at the firm, agency, or court you're working at. For example, you can look through form, motion, and brief banks through the firm's document management system. Look at a supervising attorney's work product, see if they've ever dealt with something on that issue, and look through their briefs or other documents they've created and see what materials they're citing to. What are they referencing? That will give you a guidepost of what to look for. Make sure you sign up for any library orientations, vendor trainings, and/or price or cost-effective strategy sessions offered. They're an important part of your work, and you shouldn't miss out on those opportunities if they're available to you. Also, ask about practice group specific resources, recommended sources, and any specialty databases you should be using. When you get a project, ask your supervising attorney, what might you start with to look for something on this matter? Or what resources do you like to look to for this kind of information? If you're at a firm where there's no librarian, ask your supervising attorney for their favorite sources, and she may just pull them off the shelf for you to use. Once again, Googling legal topic and research guides gives you leading sources and best practices for efficient resources. On this page here, there are some from the University of Texas on Texas state issues, including employment law, which is very important right now. So look within your jurisdiction for specific research guides as well as generally. Let's talk a little bit about Texas secondary sources. I'm going to just go over some of the most popular ones for you. First, you have the O'Connors series. O'Connors has been purchased by Westlaw, and the different O'Connors texts are now available to you on your Westlaw subscription. But a lot of people like to use the print O'Connors, like the Civil Rules Pretrial Book, the Family Law Handbook, and Texas Civil Forms for civil trials. They will give you great forms and great background for filling them out, and they are indispensable to many litigators across the state. Another favorite of litigators is Dorsanio's Texas Litigation Guide. It's available on Lexis for you electronically, Although I really like the print version for when we're back in a physical space, but it works just as well on Lexis, and that is for any litigation issue you might have, from writing a demand letter to filing an appeal and everything in between. It gives you the forms, the background, all of the legal background you need to help write a motion or produce whatever work product you need. The Texas Practice Series on Westlaw is also extremely helpful. It covers a lot of areas that other texts do not, so look for that. And the Texas Transaction Guide on Lexis is great for exactly what you'd think, transactions. So if you're starting an LLC, forming a corporation, anything having to do with mortgages, real property, anything that is more transaction-based than litigation-based, try that Texas Transaction Guide to help you out. Okay, so let's just take a look at finding some of these through Lexis Advanced and Westlaw. So here in Lexis, I'm going to look for the Texas Litigation Guide and the Texas Transaction Guide, and I'm going to start by going to State and Texas under the Explore Content. And scroll down to secondary materials, and right here I can see Dorsanio's Texas Litigation Guide. Open that up. Come on, take me there. And here we are in the litigation guide. So I can search just the table of context, or I can browse just like this. So if I want to go to plaintiff's pleadings, I would go in right here, plaintiff's original petition, etc. So that's how I would get to that. Now let's find the Texas Transaction Guide. Back in Texas Materials, down to Secondary Materials, and there we go, Texas Transaction Guide Legal Forms. That's the one I was talking about there. I can go right into transaction guides, and so we have business entities like forming a business, wills and trusts, commercial transactions, for example, contracts, sales of goods, etc., real estate transaction like leases, and personal transactions like bankruptcy and divorce. So that's how you find those on Lexis. The ones I mentioned on Westlaw, let's go back to the beginning here. Once again, I'm going to go to State Materials, Texas, and I can go down to secondary sources. And it's going to give me a whole bunch, but I like using publication series, so I can go to O'Connor's just to see the O'Connor series that I mentioned. So for example, Texas Civil Forms is what I talked about, one of my favorites. And I can get right into the forms, like for example, pretrial motions, motions in limine, and I can get to a form for a motion in limine very quickly, just like that. And then I can download an easy edit form in Microsoft Word and edit it myself. Let's go back and also take a look at the Texas Practice Series. So once again, I'm in secondary sources here. I can go by publication series, take it off O'Connor's. And then select this time the Texas Practice Series. Notice there's also the Texas Practice Guide, which is unnecessarily confusing, but the Texas Practice Series, I think, is especially good. You can see it has a lot of special materials like county and special district law, DWI law, elder law, and also environmental law, some things you won't find covered elsewhere. So that's how you find a few of those resources. I have just a couple more resources I want to show you. One is texasbarcle.com. That website gives you access to all sorts of CLE or continuing legal education programs presented by Texas lawyers. Looking at 2018 here on this slide, I can see I have all these different topics to look through for practical information about how to practice in these areas. You can search by the courses, the text, the titles, table of contents, or authors. And as a Texas law student, you can sign up and get a free subscription as a Texas law student. And right here, it says check here to affirm you're a currently enrolled student, faculty, or staff member of an ABA accredited law school. That's you. You can continue to create your account and sign up for a Texas Bar free CLE subscription and get access to all those CLE materials. One additional tip I have for you is to power up your Google, and that means using your Google in a smarter way to search for background parties, news articles, statutes, judges, etc. So one way to do this is go to the Google Advanced Search form, and that's google.com/advanced_search, and you can find pages with all these words, exact word or phrase, etc., etc. Two techniques I use all the time are using the site search. So that would be typing in site, the name of the website, and then your search terms to search only within that website. You can also search by file type. So if you only want to find, for example, PowerPoint presentations on a topic, you could search file type PPTX and find pages in the file format you prefer, like PowerPoint slides. The last thing we're going to go to today is go through a quick Texas legislative history lesson in case you have any legislative history questions involving Texas that come up during your summer search. So Texas Legislature Online at legis.state.tx.us will give you quick access to new bills, bill history files, the PDF versions of enrolled and introduced bills, House and Senate journals, legislation effective dates, and bill tracking. So that's a site you definitely want to remember. So here's a question we have. When and why did Texas begin allowing interstate banking or the presence of non-Texas chartered bank branches? So where do I start here? I know that my topic here is interstate banking, so I could search interstate banking in the General Index to Vernon's Texas statutes, and it would direct me to Texas Finance Code Annotated Section 203.001. So here I am on Westlaw in the Texas Statute Index, and I've gone to interstate banking. So when I click on interstate banking in the index, it's going to tell me generally to go to Texas Finance Code 203.001. When I look this up, I find, okay, with prior approval, Commissioner Texas Bank may maintain and establish de novo branch or acquire bank in a state other than Texas pursuant to this section, etc., etc. Now, I want to find out why and how this section was there. So I want to go to the credits to the Acts of 1999, 76th Legislature, Chapter 344. That is the session law. So with that session law number, I can go into the Texas Legislative Reference Library. The Texas Legislative Reference Library. And I want to find bills, legislation, legislative archive system. So here I'm going to do a direct search because I have the chapter number. So it's 1999, chapter 344. Let's have the chapter here. So chapter 344, search by chapter. Okay, and then I will find the bill that actually made this law, regulation relating to regulation of bank holding companies in an interstate banking branching environment, the authorization of interstate operations of financial institutions in accordance with the requirements of federal law, and the enhancement of state bank and trust company chapters for the interstate banking and branching environment. So I can find the text of the bill. I can see the whole bill file. I can see all the actions taken on it. But when I go back to the history, I can find the committee report, the bill analysis. And here it's going to tell me that in 1995, Texas legislature enacted opt-out legislation to prohibit interstate branch banking in Texas. So Texas did not want to have it. But the opt-out bill was permitted under the federal Reg-Neal Interstate Banking and Branching Efficiency Act of 1994. All state opt-out legislation had to be enacted before 1997. The Federal Office of the Comptroller of Currency ruled that Texas opt-out law did not meet the requirements of Reg-Neal. Thus, Texas could not prohibit the merger of state and out-of-state banks. So that is why that happened. That is why we permit interstate branch banking in Texas, why you have things like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, etc., instead of the Plano Bank and Trust you had when I was growing up. So that's just a look at how you can use the Legislative Reference Library after we used Westlaw to find the appropriate statute by subject in the Texas Statute Index. We used that to find the session law. From the session law, we went to the Legislative Archive System in the Legislative Reference Library. We did a direct search for 1999 regular session, chapter 344, and using the committee report, we were able to find the legislative intent as to why Texas began allowing interstate branch banking. And that answers our question. So that is just a quick view of how you can use legislative history in Texas in order to answer a legal research question. So that is your quick rundown of research tips and resources to get you started for your summer employment and other summer jobs. I know this has been a lot of information. It was 10 pounds of legal research in a 5-pound bag, so I really appreciate you all sticking with me and learning from this. I want you to know that the Law Library is here for you, even though we can't be present with you, and that if you need to access a reference librarian, we are still available just as we always have. All you need to do is go to our library webpage, law.uh.edu/libraries, and click on Ask a Question. If you click on that, you will be taken to our chat reference page. So you can just start chatting with the reference librarian right there, and we can answer any questions you have as you continue your summer employment or even are wrapping up this academic year. We know this is a tough situation for all of you. Everyone at the Law Library misses you terribly, and we want to still be involved in your success as much as possible. So please use the chat reference to reach out with you. If you want to contact me directly, you can go through the Law Library staff directory and click on my email and get my direct email, and I'd be happy to chat with you. We can chat over the phone or just by email. We can have a Zoom meeting, whatever you like. We want to make sure you're as best prepared as you can be, and we want you to know we are thinking about you and we are invested in your success. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I appreciate it.